Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we are going to be taking a look at something very cool and very special. This is the Star Trek Into the Unknown Electroplated Red Promo Enterprise. This is a very rare and extremely limited edition release version of the Enterprise for Star Trek Into the Unknown. This was limited only to GAMA 2025. And big thanks to WizKids. I was able to secure one of these. They had sent this out to me so I could take a look at it. We're going to take a look at this in the in here, and we'll also compare it with some of the other versions of the Enterprise. But wow. Now, admittedly, I did open this up ahead of time because I couldn't wait to film the video, but then I put it right back in here and said, no, let's do this properly. So this is a two-part, and then the first part I did off camera. So I already kind of looked at it briefly, but we are going to look at it again. Now, this is a promo that was only given out at GAMA 2025. That's a trade show they do in Las Vegas for industry folks and store owners and shop owners, where they basically do a lot of cool stuff, but this is not necessarily a convention that the public is generally open to. So this is a very rare and limited edition release, and I'm very, very, very fortunate to actually have my hands on this one. And if you have seen pictures of this ship floating around, let me tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, the photos don't do it justice. This is an incredibly, phenomenally looking ship. It's absolutely incredible, and I don't know. I'm hoping that I can capture the light in this one to show you how beautiful this is. The technology done to do this with electroplating is just really, really cool. It feels very smooth. It is flawless. It is absolutely flawless. We're going to put the whole thing together. We're going to compare it to some of the other Enterprises as well, try and do some mix and match with pieces, and look at something like this. Now, a lot of people have said, well, this is a little weird. Like, why would they have done a red Enterprise? And the answer to that is, I don't know. I don't know why they did a red Enterprise. Now, I have inquired as to whether this will become available again at some point. And the answer is that it kind of depends on customer demand. If you guys would be interested in a red electroplated Enterprise, you just have to make your voices known. So what I am going to do to facilitate this is I am going to create a poll, and we'll look at some of the answers and try to get an idea of how many people would be interested in them continuing to do stuff like this. Now, I will be honest with you. I think there's different colors that also might see even more popularity, like perhaps blue or purple. I think there's different factions that could get some of these. I could see like green electroplated for Klingon ships. I could see green Romulan ships even looking like this. A green Doderidex would be really incredible. But this is just a spectacular ship. Now, it does have some of the bits to go in there. While I'm putting this together, let me go ahead and remind you, we are also doing a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway again. New round of this just recently started. Oh my goodness, it's smooth. And it can slip out of your hands if you're not careful. There we go. But if you want to have a chance to enter to win that $25 Amazon gift card giveaway, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Let me know what you guys think of the red Enterprise, and if there is any other colors that you would like to see of this ship, let me know down in the comments section below. This is really spectacular, though. It really looks very, very cool. Now, it doesn't have the same detail that the other Enterprises have, and what I mean by that is you're not going to see paint applications within there. You're not going to see bits of blue and bits of black and white for lights. This one is almost like a Christmas ornament sort of textured, which is just a really cool, it's like a novelty thing. I don't think they intended for people to completely play with this, but they did give you a base with this particular promo kit. So there is a base in here, so we can go ahead and set the whole thing up, and then we can compare it to the others. But there's not going to be a damage deck. There was a silver Enterprise that was released, and that one at least had a damage deck and a shipboard, so you could actually play the game with that, although it did not have the generic officer that you would need in order to play. It still had everything else. So this one doesn't have all of that. This is meant just to be more of a collector item than an actual gameplay piece, but it can certainly substitute as a gameplay component. And that is a very fun and cool thing. I would love to see more of these made. I'd love to see different types of ships made available with this type of plating, but there it goes. Let's do some comparison shots between this and some of the other Enterprises that are out there. And then we'll talk a little bit about the latest for Star Trek Into the Unknown, because there's plenty more to talk about, and we can talk about that while we're comparing these two. All right, so now we've got all three laid out side by side, and you can see definitely the differences between them. We have our original Enterprise that comes in, the core set right here, and then of course our special edition chromed out Enterprise, which doesn't actually look quite as shiny when you have it next to the red one. It's definitely like the amount of shine on this one is so far and above anything I've ever seen before. I love it. But you see with this one, you still do have all of your paint applications in there, and you do have the red dish in there, the red bits on here, and of course with this one, of course everything is just red all the way through. So there we go. Next thing I want to do is just do some flip-flops, some swapping around of bits, and just see how well they are all compatible. And of course they are. We can totally have the regular Enterprise saucer section on the red Enterprise, which is actually pretty cool. We can put the red on the chrome right there, which is also a pretty cool thing. And this is something you can do in game too. You could actually, if you had multiple Galaxy classes, you could swap them around to your heart's content. And then we have the chrome on the regular. So it's like we get like, we've gotten successfully more and more shiny. I think the only place left for them to go, if they want to get shinier than this, would be to do a mirrored chrome. But I think that would kind of compete with this sort of silvery Enterprise a little bit already. So while I'm playing around with these a little bit, let's talk a little bit about what is coming next for Star Trek Into the Unknown. Rising Tensions is the next expansion pack that is going to feature another Defiant class, as well as a Miranda class, as well as 2 Klingon ships. If you saw my content from Adepticon, there was some talk about how they might be able to do a second ship inside that core box. I don't think that's the case right now. I'm not sure exactly, but I do believe that some clarification and more news for Rising Tensions is going to be coming very soon. It is scheduled for release this summer, so we'll definitely check out WizKids and their social media links if you want to get more information on that. Of course, I will also be bringing you the latest for Rising Tensions as it becomes available. We have all of the different permutations that we're doing here. I think the regular Enterprise is kind of, gonna just kind of sit over here for a minute. But no, this is a really fun, it's fun just to play around with these. I will probably not display them like that permanently, but it's good to know that they can totally fit on there, just fine. I was a little worried that possibly attaching and detaching the saucer sections on these would possibly result in something breaking off or chipping. And while I imagine that's probably possible, I've done it a couple of times now, and it has not had any chipping yet. One of the things that will happen with this, though, because it is so shiny, you can get fingerprints on here, so you may want to have like a microfiber cloth and wipe it off from time to time once you put it on the shelf. I think you'll want to keep this somewhere where it's not going to get too dusty. I think you want to probably put this in a glass case or something like that. If you don't have a glass case, you might want to order one just for this beautiful ship. That is definitely something to think about. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put a poll up, like I said before, and maybe we can share some of the poll data with WizKids and see what kind of market response there is. If you guys would be interested in buying something like this as a collector, as a collectible, as a collector's item, as a just a vanity swap. Especially if you're running a ship that's not using the Enterprise title. If you're running just a different galaxy, or you're making this like a ship of your own, like this is going to be the Crimson Dawn or something like that, which is actually a really cool name for a Galaxy class ship. That's it. Oh my God, that's a great. I just came up with that on the spot. Well, I know it was a movie. It was not, Crimson Tide. How about that? Let's invent all new names that have already been invented before. But yeah, like stuff like that is theoretically possible. You could run it just as a vanity ship. But yeah, let's see what the thoughts are. I'll probably put up options with like, would you buy this if this was available? Would you not buy this in hopes that you would prefer a different color? Or are you like, no, I just wouldn't buy it because I want ships that look more canonical. you know, you want ships that look a little bit realer. Also, let me know in the comments, like, what do you think of like the middle ground version, which is this kind of shiny Enterprise version? What do you think of stuff like this? Would you like to see more ships in this style as well? I think they're trying out a lot of different things. And of course, you know, I also have to, you know, bring to the point that they're doing a lot with existing molds. Making new molds is not a cheap or simple process to go through. So, you know, the fact that they're trying to do a lot with what they have, I think is a really cool thing. And, you know, I wish more companies would follow this kind of example. Is just give us options. Again, nobody's saying you have to get these. You know, you just have to have the one that's in the core set. That's all you need. So very cool stuff. Speaking of the core set, you're going to want to have a Star Trek Into the Unknown core set if you're going to play Rising Tensions. That is coming out this summer. I know there have also been some questions about European releases. There's a lot of folks in the EU that do not have their Star Trek Into the Unknown pre-orders yet. I don't have any answers to that, but I do want to let you know that I am hearing you. Of course, I am not a decision maker in there, and I have no ability to resolve that. Hopefully, it does all get resolved soon, although I have heard of some people finally getting their stuff, so I like to believe that those supply chains are opening up and they're just, you know, taking a little bit longer than expected. And of course, it stinks when you have to wait a long time for your stuff, but that is kind of how that seems to be going so far. But I'm not a representative of WizKids. I'm just talking about the things that I hear because I try to keep my ears low to the ground. All right, guys. So that is a look at the red Enterprise from Star Trek Into the Unknown, the Electroplated red promo from GAMA 2025. Big thanks to WizKids for sending this out and making it possible. I definitely called in a few favors to try to make this happen, but it was it's absolutely wonderful. If you guys like it and if you want to see more, there is a chance that this type of promo will show up again, maybe as a convention promo, maybe for sale, who knows, maybe in different colors. Who knows what the future holds? There's definitely a lot of different things they can do with this type of technology, and looking forward to seeing more. That is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dude. So say we all, and always wash your socks.